video may contain content parents may find unsuitable for children. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everybody, it's Hunger again. Brawlhalla. Holla, 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 holla. Anyway. Yeah, we're playing Brawlhalla until I get sick of it. Anyway. Let's see. Custom game room, I suppose. Let's do that. Let's see, settings. We go 8-player max, 7 minutes on match time. Map set, beak maps only. Screw tiny maps. Screw them. Do 490862 is the code. I'm gonna go ahead and put that down. Let's see. 0862. Boop. And we're gonna pin that. Nice and pinned. Alright. And we're gonna go ahead and confirm. Okay. Press to send an emoji. Wait a minute. How does that work? What? Really? When did they add this shit? Hang on. They had that last week? I think they added that last week. Anyway. That's kind of funny. Look at Bugman here. Oof. What are we doing? I guess I'll be Orion. I don't know.
Orion.
I need to jump into the YouTube, the Discord chat. I'm in the YouTube chat already. I need to get to the Discord chat. Nice, powerful Discord chat. What are we doing?
Come in, you royal boob!
Take care. There we go.
Royal boob here.
Oh, hey. So.
Oh, just recovering from being physically sick after being torn into by my mother and blamed for the entire situation she's in.
Uh-huh.
So, it's another weekend.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And you're right, they did have the send an emoji thing last week.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Possibly the week before when you took a hiatus from it for your birthday.
Maybe. I don't know. Oh look, it's the big crystal temple. You look at the stupid temple. I mean the big temple.
Three,
oh man.
2, 1, brawl.
It looks like Sonic and Knuckles would stash Chaos Emeralds here. This just looks like that type of place.
Except the island isn't floating, just our platform.
I mean, you know, you think it's not floating, but it's floating. Yeah.
Among Us Fortnite sighting.
Fortnite.
So I'm playing the heck out of Metroid Dread this weekend.
Uh-huh.
It's really good, but in a way it feels like Fusion 2.0.
Okay.
You may remember that in Super Metroid, that game was pretty open-ended where basically it would give you a new toy that would act like a key to further open up the planet for exploration and furthering the adventure.
Uh-huh.
And that's more or less how Metroid game's supposed to work. But since Fusion and Zero Mission, they've basically truncated the overall Metroid experience.
Huh.
For example, in Fusion, the game practically held your hand and told you this is where you go, this is where you cannot go, and the game will literally block you out from exploring places even after you've gotten new items or abilities that would allow you to fully... Yeah.
Unless you're supposed to explore that at that point,
Right. Zero Mission was almost worse, and then we had like a 15-year gap until Samus Returns, which unfortunately I didn't get to play a whole lot because when even when I downloaded it last Christmas from the gift card you gave me, I also got Kid Icarus Uprising. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll play through Kid Icarus Uprising one more time during my appointments, driving Mom to her doctor's appointments. And I only got about halfway through until, this whole boondoggle started 5 months ago.
Yeah.
So I know that if there was any such roadblocks in the Samus Returns remake, it would be excusable because Samus Returns, or Metroid 2, was very linear to begin with.
Right.
It's basically, go here, go to this area, kill all the Metroids. You may have to backtrack again in that particular little area when the acid drops, but then it's more or less go to A to B to C to Z. It's basically, a linear path. Well, Metroid Dread does like a cross between Fusion and the original Metroid 2. It will give you the illusion that it's opening up the world to you piece by piece as you get your new toys. But if you try to backtrack too much into those areas after you've got the new toys, it will more or less block you backwards from doing that very much for a good while.
Yeah. See...
And it does this repeatedly.
Right. There are certain things that gamers really like. I think Hollow Knight understood this really well, because Hollow Knight is kind of that Metroidvania platformer style game too. But Hollow Knight understood that gamers like open worlds, and they like being able to sequence break. So.
Oh, and there's plenty of room for sequence breaking in this game. There's ways for you to get the morph bomb ball and so forth early and kill Kraid quicker. And so forth, and they said so in interviews before the game was released that they took Super Metroid and used it as a blueprint for sequence breaking for those who are skilled enough to do so. And I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
But let me put it another way. In Super Metroid, there would be places you couldn't get to, even with sequence breaking, unless of course you're using glitches. Okay. This one are like hard blocks that you cannot get to.
Yeah.
You can't. It basically blocks you from being able to figure out. Oh wait, I've got this new toy or this new key. I remember that there's this new door type thing that I came across a minute ago. Let me go backtrack across that section of the game and see where that progresses me. But in Metroid Dread, it doesn't do that. Because I got this cloaking ability that allows you to get through certain doors, and I'm like, oh, I remember I saw a door like that back there. I'm going to go back to that area, and I go to that area, and there's like this big friggin' mushroom thing in the way. I'm like, what the hell? And again, it does that repeatedly, or something like that repeatedly.
Yeah, so it's possible to sequence break, but not too much. Like, they made it to where certain areas get blocked off, and that's annoying. Like, if you went through that area before and there was no mushroom thing, they should put a mushroom thing there afterwards to prevent you from backtracking, Like, just so that you can't get to that door with your new toy until they feel like you should. Like, that should be a place where you can sequence break or where the world is more open. And, if they wanted to put a big mushroom thing after the door that you have to kill with something else, that's fine, but, it's something where they need to think more about that type of stuff in game design, because that makes it feel like the world isn't open and that it's more closed off, you know, and you know, it makes a less attractive gaming experience for people who like that type of stuff, you know.
Right.
'Cause,
The
you
thing
know,
is, even Go ahead.
when people beat levels out of order in Zelda games, they're like they feel so good, you know.
oh yeah,
Like,
it's rewarding.
yeah, it's
Levels in Zelda.
yeah. There's like for example in Zelda Link to the Past, there's a sequence break that allows you to clear level 4 before level 3 in the Dark World. So it's something where when you know people really like being able to sequence break in Zelda games. In the original Legend of Zelda, you can actually get into the 8th dungeon before you get into any other dungeon. You know, it's difficult. You basically have to farm enemy drops to get bombs, and then once you have bombs, you can like you have to get the candle, and then once you get the candle, you can actually there's like because the entrance to the 8th dungeon in the original Zelda game is a tree, so you have to burn the tree down with the candle, and then the bombs are required to get through the dungeon itself. But you can actually do it if you are skilled enough. You know, it's a difficult dungeon. It's not designed for people to play through at the beginning of the game, but if you can do it, it's the swaggest thing ever. Most of the time, what I would do is I would just go in there and I would go straight for the dungeon item because it's not that far in. It's like three rooms in if you know where to look for it. So I would just grab the dungeon item, the magic book, and then scram and save the dungeon itself for later. You know. But like I said, it's something that it's a dungeon that you're actually able to access really early on in the game, and you can sequence break if you want to. And you know, and there's still other things you can sequence break in that game too. Like you're not like, you know, there's people who will do will do other dungeons. Like I think there's people who've done the second dungeon before the first one. You know, stuff like that. You know, so you know, it's something where there's people take pride in being able to do that type of stuff. That's like the speedrunners who really like Breath of the Wild because they go straight for Ganon after they get off the plateau.
Yep.
You know, but you're not required to do anything. You can just go straight to Ganon after you finish that first tutorial island. You know.
Player 1 wins.
Wow.
Without any protection around.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's just people like being able to do stuff like that. So it's kind of frustrating when you see a game that's like trying to let you do that, but also trying not to let you do that at the same time. You know, it's kind of weird. You know. It's like, oh, we know people like to sequence break, so let's put sequence breaking in. Oh, but not here. You know, like, you know, that's kind of what that feels like.
Yeah, it's less about the sequence breaking for me. It's more I want to explore the hell out of this area and discover the way forward myself, not be guided by a hidden hand pushing me from behind.
Right, and that's the thing, is that so many more modern games are so hand-holdy. Like, you know, like, I get that you want to instruct a new player on how to play, but include a way to turn that shit off for veteran players. You know, like, if it's like the 6th game in a series, a veteran player most likely does not need to hear most of that shit. You know? Like, if I'm playing a Pokemon game, I do not need a tutorial on how to catch a Pokemon. I'm sorry, I just don't. You know? And they put it in almost every freaking game. There's literally they actually put a way to skip it in this newest game, I think. It took them like 7 or 8 games to figure out that they could that it was an okay thing to skip that tutorial. Like basically what they did was they made it to where if you've already caught a Pokemon before you get to the spot with the tutorial, you can skip the tutorial. So all you gotta do is catch a frickin' Pokemon. It's like, I will do that to skip that tutorial every frickin' time, you know? because it's a dumb tutorial. So, but yeah, just I get putting that in there for the new players, but when it's obviously not needed, then don't put it in there, Yeah, or have some sort of option to skip it. Like, this guy is 6. They had tutorial stuff. They had a bunch of tutorial junk, but you could always skip it. You're like, no, I don't want to watch that. And it's great because like I've already seen how this works in other Disgaea games. I don't need a refresher, thanks. It's the 6th game in the franchise. I don't need the tutorial.
Yeah. And Dread's the 5th canon game in the main storyline. So.
Right. Yeah. But like, when a game is like super strongly holding your hand, it's really unrewarding. It really because it feels like somebody's holding your hand. It feels like, come on, go this way. No, don't do what you want to do. Do what mommy wants to do. No, you can't run off on your own at the supermarket. You just want to go check out the toy section, and they're like, no, check out produce over here with mommy. So yeah.
Now, granted, it is a great game. It's definitely a Metroid game.
Right. It's good.
It's just that since Gunpei Yokoi died, because he was part of the original development team of the franchise, it's almost as if they've lost their touch and don't know how to make a Metroid game anymore.
Yeah. Well, kind of like Square Enix after they got rid of Sakaguchi. It's like they obviously still know how to make a Final Fantasy game because they have Bravely Default, but they won't freaking do it with their actual Final Fantasy games. They're like, nah, we'll just save all the cool Final Fantasy mechanics for Bravely Default and make shitty Final Fantasy games for action junkies. Yeah. It's like
And they're practically just action games with numbers floating around.
Exactly. It's
And I'm stealing that quote from Scott Wozniak.
Uh-huh. I don't like what they've done with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I wish they would remake the remake. Just change it back to the way it was.
Well, if you make it feel...
All anybody wanted was a spit shine. We wanted what we got with like Final Fantasy IV when they remade it for the DS, or where it's just make the same game, but make it prettier. Like, because there were obvious problems with the first attempt. Like,
Orion.
I remember going over to a friend's house because he had gotten a PlayStation with Final Fantasy VII, and he was talking about, and he kept crowing about how great it was, and so I was like, okay, all right, so I sat down and we watched the opening sequence, and I was like, wow, this looks pretty good, and then Cloud jumps off the train, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? Why does he look like Popeye?
3,
like, so
2, 1,
it's just
ball.
Like, even at the time, it was like, wow, what did they do this for? Like, and I realized that Final Fantasy up to that point had used like chibi-style sprites, but that did not carry over well to 3D. They did a much better job in Final Fantasy IX of doing chibi-style 3D characters, but the ones in Final Fantasy VII were just laughable.
Inconsistent portrayals between cutscenes and so forth.
Right.
That got on my nerves fast.
Yeah, they would have an FFV cutscene, but it would have the chibi sprites in it, and then they'd have another FFV. It would have these hyper realistic looking characters in it, and it's like, which one is it?
Lane, Uncanny Valley, or Popeye's long lost grandchildren.
Yeah. It's just.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, there's another RPG remake that's probably going to get the same treatment. It's more up my alley, too. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in addition to rumors of it possibly being a woke cringe fest, the rumor is that it's going to be more of an action RPG a la FF7 Remake.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not a Star Wars gamer, so I don't really play Star Wars games. So I can't really compare the two. You know.
It was based on a D12 system. It played more like a D&D game than a Star Wars game.
That's cool.
It's kind of like it used the Star Wars universe as a backdrop.
Yeah, well, I mean, Star Wars has had some tabletop games before, so it's not necessarily a complete departure for them.
Yeah.
Star Wars Knights of the Dinner Table. Man.
Yeah, the reason why I guess a lot of people assume that it's going to be an action RPG is because they've got a remastered version hitting the Switch and other platforms.
Oh.
Remaster of the original. So.
Man. We get a remastered
like,
Final Fantasy VII on the Switch.
Yeah, it's there. It's basically the port of the Steam version.
Yeah.
Dominating.
Does it fix the problem where the game looks like crap in spots? No, of course not. All right, anyway.
Well, the mobile all of these console ports of this remaster are based on the mobile version, and all these remasters from the PS1 era games are they're kind of suspect in a couple areas, like where there's the half FMVs or the FMVs in general. They had lost the original source code and files that they worked with from back in the day, and so they basically had to take assets from original PlayStation games, and they couldn't remaster or redraw or correctly up-res certain elements, so even like Final Fantasy IX, parts of the game is going to look half-assed.
Wow. It's pretty bad.
Especially if it's one of those half FMV, half playable sequences.
Those were freaky. Like the one with the giant green tree tentacles like writhing underneath you while you're moving. Like.
Yeah. Those parts that are like half the FMV part of the half FMV sequences or backgrounds or whatever, they're all gonna look woefully out of focus and fuzzy and so forth.
Man.
There's mods for the PC or Steam versions, like for example on Final Fantasy IX, there's what's called the Moguri mod, which makes fixes like 90% of those problems. But if you're an achievement hunter for Steam achievements, I believe it would end up
disabling
deactivating
the
them.
achievements because of the mods.
Yeah.
Like Minecraft disabling achievements when you turn cheats on.
Yeah. Well, not all cheats, because apparently I got the benchmark one for breaking X number of blocks a few weeks ago.
What? Well, anyway. Ah! I died. It was terrible. My gosh. Ow. Not the face. Boop.
Oh man.
One wins.
You got a serious booping. Yay! Oh no. We lost a person. What happened? Dang. Man. These are pretty sparse tonight. Ugh. Man, I thought Tatanius would be here to make me suffer by now.
I thought I heard him in the chat.
Yeah, he was in the voice chat. You know, and he was in the YouTube chat for a little bit. So, like, I'm kind of confused.
Yeah, it sounded like he was stacking plates or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe he was doing chores for his mom. I don't know.
I don't know what he's doing. Let's see. What we got going on here? Oh, is that how it is? Is that how it is? Instead of, okay, well, alright, well, I guess that means it's time to end the stream. Let's let's see. We got a new Raven Girl. What are we doing?
I do have to admit, Moonin looks pretty cool. I'm not sure about that scythe archery combo.
Yeah. I like the Soulbound Diana skin. I think they should just make her look like that all the time. If she looked like that all the time, I'd buy her.
Which one's Diana?
She's got the, she's, got, let's see. This one
Oh,
right
she's
here,
kind of got the pirate hat looking
yeah, she's
chick.
got the little tricorn hat and the bow and everything, but she has a skin, called, Soulbound.
Huh?
And it looks really freaking cool. Let's see, where is it at? Okay, here we go. Survivor Diana. Where is it? Where's Soulbound Diana? Come on. Really? They don't have the Soulbound skin in here. Is it like only seasonally available or some crap?
I guess so.
It's kind of lame. It's her best skin.
It's not going to show me if it shows up on your screen though. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's in our future. Yeah, I have no idea. Okay, so there we go.
Sir Roland.
There we go. Do some indubitable Sir Roland play. There we go.
3, 2,
Kind of looks like if Vernon from the Ninja Turtles cartoon got a sword and a set of armor.
And a beard.
Yeah. And testicles.
Alright. Yes. Indubitably.
Dope. Had some feline interference just now.
Thanks.
Little scavenger.
Thanks, Fuzzy.
Little scavenger wants to eat the last bit of my dinner for me.
Oh.
He's been becoming more and more of a little snot lately. He's reverted back to jumping on my entertainment center while I'm watching TV or doing stuff, and sitting on top of my consoles, and I have to remind him that he is not to do that by force feeding him terminal velocity foam dart bullets with his backside.
Yeah.
He just looks at me like I betrayed him or something. I'm like, come on, I did this to you when you were a kitten and you did that. Do you think the punishment would ever go away for it?
Alright. It's the legend of Roland. Yes! Da 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 da! Oh, indubitably.
Player one wins.
Oh, man. GG, I say. GG.
Sir Roland.
Yes, indubitably.
3, 2, 1, brawl.
And the aptly named Sir not appearing in this film. Oh, God!
I kinda like synthwave, but I hate the fact that my favorite game tribute band transitioned entirely into the style of music from having been rock and roll. The Megas are not going back to rock and roll for their video game music tributes. And I'm really bummed about it. Never been really annoyed by any group changing their sound before, because in the one case where I really paid attention to it and listened to them on a regular basis, is like it was very gradual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it wasn't really jarring. Plus, their songwriting skills are top-notch. Collective Soul. Now, I am really annoyed with the fact that they release an EP and it's digital only so far.
Yeah. Ah! Nope. Ah!
Player 2 wins.
Jeez. Oof, good stuff. Get that little 7. Let's see, do I have other stances that I can do? Oh, yes I do.
Sir Roland.
There we go. Was that a rude emoji? Was it some sort of rude emoji? I think that was. I think that was a rude emoji. Indubitably.
Well, the middle finger, he's just pointing to his brain.
Uh-huh. As in, think harder, stupid. Ha ha.
3, 2, 1, brawl.
I'll show you.
I'm just trying him out. Don't think too hard about it.
Speaking of trying things out, I like Sir Roland. I like the sword play that he does. It's very cool. I've used him before when he's been free, obviously.
Would you buy him just now?
Yeah, I bought him. He's not available this week, I don't think. He was only like 3,200. Yeah, so it's not a huge dent in the wall. Picking the fictitious wall, even picking him up. So.
Did you hear that a whole bunch of Marvel and DC movies, or not DC, Disney movies are getting delayed?
Oh yeah.
Yep. There's this sort of theatrical guild called the IATSE.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really bad acronym. And they just like renegotiated, but rumor is that they may strike anyways because they didn't get exactly what they wanted. So that's why Disney has opted to delay basically all of the Marvel movies and most of the standard Disney movies that were supposed to pump out last year by at least a few months each. And the new Indiana Jones Death of Indy has been delayed for a full year.
Oh. So Indy got a reprieve in a sentence.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Harrison Ford injured himself big time, apparently, on the set. And they've realized he's hit a point where it's pretty ridiculous for a man that old to be in an action movie.
Uh-huh.
So, if they want to salvage the project at all, they're probably going to have to go with the whole idea of him being replaced and retconned out of existence by the female character thanks to time travel and other shenanigans.
Yeah.
In retrospect, I think it would have been better if they'd replace him with Shia LaBeouf.
In retrospect, I think it would have been better if they just stopped doing Indiana Jones movies. Like it's something where the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was not exactly well received. I don't think they should have kept going with the franchise. The whole thing is, Indy is supposed to be immortal after that one movie, and he keeps getting older. So it's like, how does that work? You're just gonna just live until he crumbles into dust? He's gonna keep decaying and decomposing until there's nothing left of him, even though he's immortal. Like, it just doesn't.
Drinking from the Holy Grail is supposed to make you immortal.
Yeah, like that was the whole reason the bad guy wanted it in that movie, was so that he could live forever. Like,
Gotcha.
and he poured the water from it on his father, and it healed his injuries. Like, yeah.
Man, it's been like a decade plus since I've watched it, so.
Oh man. But yeah, it's something where they really should have just called it good where it was and never bothered doing any more of it. If they wanted to do a reboot, that would have been better. If they wanted to do a reboot with a new actor playing Indiana Jones, you know,
3,
then
2, 1.
they at
brawl.
least could have, you know, done a cameo appearance by Harrison Ford or something, you know, just to kind of be like, yeah, this is the new character or something. But you know, having a,
I mean, frankly, if they were going to do sequels, they should have done a sequel trilogy in the 90s
yeah, they should have done one
instead of
way
that
sooner.
prequel series. They had a prequel series on TV called The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles,
Yes,
which
I
I never
remember
got to
that.
watch.
But yeah, that was the right direction to go with it. The wrong direction was what they did with Crystal Skull. That was dumb. And you know, at this stage, having somebody come along to quote unquote replace Indy is not a smart idea. You know, just let the character bow out gracefully, and you know, well, not gracefully anymore, but let the character retain some of his dignity, you know, and just come up with something else. It's something where you're going to do a new character anyway. You can do a new character and set it in the same world just fine. Just you know, don't call it Indiana Jones. Call it something else. You know, call it Montana Max or whatever else. You know? But yeah, it's just. Boom. But yeah, at this point, it's pretty bad. Like, you know, you don't like. I really wish that people would stop going to see these liberal woke fest movies and whatnot. I really wish that they would show these companies that is not what people want to see, and you know, because if you don't hit them in the pocketbook, they're never going to stop. You know,
Even if you do, they get government money for being part of the arts and all that jazz. So
right? But the
that
thing is,
kind of stuff's going to stop.
the thing is, there's
Plus, term limits are going to happen.
you know, the thing is when you're talking about you know, movies and whatnot, movie studios won't just keep making movies that don't make money. Like
Player
it's
two wins.
a fact. Like if they make enough movies that don't make any money, they stop being able to be movie studios, regardless of how many quote unquote government grants are. They just spend so much money on each of these movies that they can't help themselves. Like it's something where, regardless of how much of a little grant they might get for being part of the arts, it's not going to offset spending millions and billions of dollars on a movie that doesn't make any money.
3, 2,
You know?
Not just talking about
brawl.
grants, they can do tax write-offs for losses and all sorts of creative accounting.
I mean, there's stuff like that, but it won't ultimately save you from going under. You know, you can write off a loss like that, but it doesn't give you that money back. It gives you a credit. You know.
Right. Plus, there's
if you look
plenty of studios that have the mindset of the message is more important than profits.
Some of them do, but
Which sounds benevolent, but isn't.
right. That's the thing is, you know, if they keep trying to send that message, that same tired message that all these movies have already sent that nobody's interested in hearing, then they're going to eventually stop making money. Like,
That's what I hope.
because the thing is, you know, if you look at Donald Trump's tax returns, you know, the ones that were leaked from the mid '90s, where he had almost $1 billion in losses, he didn't have. They didn't give him $1 billion check. They gave him $1 billion in credit towards future tax returns. You know, so you know, you can claim those losses all you want. They're not going to give you the money back. They're just not going to tax you on them. deducted from what you owe them in taxes. And if it's a negative number, then they just put that towards your next one. And
Okay, so now on a semi-personal level, if you don't do your taxes for 3 years because you've done the math and found that they owe you money and you don't have to file, do they actually, if you manage to file some year down the line, do they actually write you a check if they actually owe you money after all that?
you would, yeah, I believe that there is some sort of limit on how long you could go without filing and still get money for it, but I believe you can still get money for late filings like that. It's not necessarily an impossibility.
Because that's where my mom's tax returns are at. I was going through all the paperwork for Medicaid for her, and I found all her missing paperwork for taxes. At least I'm pretty sure it was. She always claimed that she hadn't done her taxes in like 2-3 years because they owed her money and she didn't want to go through the hassle. I'm like, really? Why are you saying no to getting money back?
Right. Well, to a lot of lay people, doing their taxes is very intimidating and daunting, and and honestly, the government has helped the people that have decided to make an industry out of it.
Yep,
The
it's a
government
whole
does not
cottage
make
industry.
it easy to do your taxes for free, like on their website or something. They literally, like, we go to their website and be like, okay, I want to do my taxes on your website. They're like, oh, go to this website and pay somebody to do it for you.
Yep.
Like, they don't just help you do your taxes for free. You can, like, there are avenues for it, but they don't make it super simple and easy for you to do that. They want you to go through these other companies because these other companies will do it right. So they want to eliminate the mistakes that the normal person might make doing their taxes on their own.
What's really galling to me is that the government pretty much knows within a very slim margin how much you are supposed to pay them.
Yeah. For the most part.
Player 2 wins.
It's like Chris Rock would say, you don't pay taxes, they take tax. You look at your pay stub, that money is gone.
Alright. Well, the thing is, that's actually something that happens when you first get employed with a place. You're going to fill out a form.
Yeah, I know.
W
whatever.
W whatever, and it's got how many dependents you have and all that stuff. And so it's
3, 2,
actually the
1,
business
call.
doing you a favor by taking that money out. You can actually tell them, hey, I don't want you to touch my paychecks, but that doesn't mean that you don't owe the government that money. The government, when IRS season comes around, is going to be like, hey, you didn't have them take any money out, and you owe us X amount of money, so pay up, And if you don't, then they can garnish your wages and take it out by force if necessary. Like there's things that they can do to make sure that they get paid. So it's not that you have no choice, it's that if you try not to, they're going to try and take it anyway. I mean, you can always try to fight it in court or do whatever, but as far as that goes, most people that have tried to legally avoid paying taxes have failed miserably.
Willie Nelson, Wesley Snipes.
I mean, here's the thing. When you're rich, and you have a lot of money, it actually becomes relatively easy to avoid paying taxes, provided you're spending your money in certain ways. For example, if you have losses that you can attribute to your business, if you have donations, like a lot of these guys, dislike the government, so they purposely will make large-scale donations to charities or churches to avoid having to pay taxes to Uncle Sam. So it's something where it seems counterintuitive that the bracket that's supposed to be paying the most in taxes most often seems to get away with it, but those people have a myriad of ways to avoid doing so. And honestly, if they incur losses on their business, you know, through whatever, you know, like whether it's buying a ton of product or, you know, whatever, that money ends up going into the economy either way. It's something where that money is money that has already been taxed in one form or another. So it's stimulating the economy and moving it either way. So it's not like they're getting off completely scot-free and doing nothing. They're just not paying taxes in the income tax format so much as they possibly should. And there's been, you know, people, especially on the left, who have been trying to stop that. And, you know, because like I said, there's all kinds of people who think that, for example, that Donald Trump is doing some creative accounting when it comes to his losses, and that really he's just like, for example, he had a company that one of his companies that went bankrupt right before it filed for bankruptcy. He paid himself and some of the other top officers a $300,000 bonus. You know, so the company went bankrupt because it didn't have any money, but it had enough money to pay its top officers money. You know, so it's something where, you know, he basically the oh crap, that was a mistake. Anyway, basically the insinuation. Can you exit out and come back in real quick?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Sorry, I accidentally hit the wrong button. Anyway, basically the insinuation was that Trump had basically dumped off some losses from other companies into that company, given himself a huge bonus from it, and then bankrupted the company. You know, said, "Oh, this is going into bankruptcy now. It's not a company anymore." You know, just to consolidate his losses into one place, and then claimed those losses on his tax returns as losses. You know, so, you know, it's technically legal. It's extremely immoral, and like I said, there needs to be some sort of legislation against that sort of quote-unquote creative accounting. But right now, it's not something that he can be criminally prosecuted for. You know,
It sounds eerily similar to what happened with Hostess.
It's not entirely, because Hostess, their whole thing was Hostess. Their reason for going bankrupt, regardless of what else you might have heard, is they had a union that they had to deal with. Their workers were unionized, and their union forced Hostess to agree to these unrealistic terms, which included all kinds of bonuses and pensions for their workers in order to keep the workers working. Well, eventually, Hostess was unable to meet those financial obligations, and said, you know what, rather than pay you all these retirement pensions and bonuses and whatnot, we're just going bankrupt. You know? So all those workers who were unionized and everything to protect their jobs lost their jobs. You know? Because unions don't care about protecting jobs, they care about money. You know?
Right.
Like, that's the thing, is unions want to make sure that they get their union dues, and to do that, they will often fight for issues that the people in the union don't really care about. And even if they do care about them, they don't care if it's an unrealistic proposition. For example, the football union. You know, the NFL had unions, or has unions, and one of the things that they did in one of their negotiations was they said, you know, we don't like how one star player for each team gets paid a whole bunch of money and everybody else gets paid this standard amount. So what we want is for all players to receive more money as the years go by. So for every year that you have them on the team, we want them paid a certain amount more money, because, you know, they deserve it for being on the team. So what ended up happening was NFL teams started cutting players that had been around for a long time because they didn't want to pay the higher salary. So once again, these unions who are supposed to be there to preserve people's jobs and make them more and make their working conditions better, are costing people their jobs. You know, it's something where unions are very useful in situations where the situation is dire. Like, you know, if there are legitimate safety concerns and things like that, unions are wonderful. But when unions don't have a really good cause to fight for, and they invent one, just to make it seem like they're not useless, so that people don't dump them, it ends up harming the workers rather than helping them. You know?
I remember maybe it was just the media that was giving a slant on it, but I remember it being framed as though the Hostess people basically fired all the workers and then kept their own job, like the CEOs and so forth kept their jobs, got themselves bonuses, and then sold the recipes off to a new buyer, and they got their golden parachutes.
Well,
cream filling.
The new buyer was a foreign pastry maker, and they're basically moving production to another country that doesn't have to worry about unions, you know? So all of the Hostess products now, because they decided to keep the Hostess label on the products, even though it's a different company now. It's a different parent company, I should say.
Right.
But yeah, and there was some talk that some of the Hostess products were going to be sold to different people that, you know, like that this company might not take all of Hostess on, but basically I don't know if the CEOs got a golden parachute in that equation. It's possible that they did, but the thing is, you know, whether or not the CEOs chose to enrich themselves before the bankruptcy, which, you know, like I said, is not necessarily all that uncommon in business, it was going to go bankrupt either way because the demands that the union made were unsustainable. You know, there wasn't, like, once those negotiations were completed and the union had secured those super cush bonuses and pensions for the workers, it was literally on borrowed time. They would have had to increase output and sales by a vast amount in order to make those that sustainable, you know. It's like Venezuela's economy. Everybody likes to point at Venezuela and go, "Oh, that's what happens when you use communism or socialism." The thing with Venezuela is the former person in charge there
3, 2,
was doing
1,
like
ball.
he was doing like game show style giveaways every week and basically like just giving the people money all the time, so everybody loved him, but it was unsustainable. Basically, the only way that was going to be sustainable at all is if the price of oil just kept going up forever. You know, because that's what was fueling that in their economy is, oil had been discovered down there, and they were letting oil companies drill for it, and that was giving them all kinds of capital to work with. But of course, the price of oil didn't keep going up forever. It did start going down, and at one point bottoming out to negative numbers per barrel. And the Venezuelan economy suffered for it, and there was a new guy in charge at the time, which caused the Venezuelans to kind of mistakenly blame everything on him. It's like, oh, well, this new guy, like the new guy Maduro, all these Venezuelans who are sitting there losing weight under this new guy call it the Maduro diet, like because they're not being fed well enough, and it's a similar situation to the Nazis at the end of World War I. And keep in mind, Hitler hated communism and socialism. he didn't want he didn't want any part of it. You know, like a lot of people think that he was, you know, somehow part of that whole system, but you know, keep in mind he fought against the communist Russians. You know, like that was his you know, Germany was not in that type of situation, but like I said, they had the same problems where people were, where you know, money was being overprinted and you know, had to have like 1 million of the German marks or whatever to get an apple, you know, like, so people were, you'd have to carry around a whole wheelbarrow full of cash to get one piece of fruit, you know, so it's something where that type of thing was happening in Venezuela for a while, and you know, and yes, it's laughable what the Venezuelan government has tried to do to fix the problem. They they spent a bunch of money buying rabbits, and then gave rabbits to people, and they're like, okay, now you can breed them and eat them, and people started keeping them as pets. You know, because of course they did. If you give a bunch of regular people rabbits, they're not going to think of them immediately as a food source. You know, what you should have done is give all the butchers rabbits.
For one, rabbit meat isn't all that great.
It's not all that great, no. Like, but if you're going to have an animal that you're breeding for a food source, then you know, then you need to give it to people who are going to be able to treat it as such. Most common regular people, if you gave them a rabbit and said, "Here, eat this," they're not going to eat it. Like, even if they're really hungry, they're not going to know how to. They're not really going to be all that versed in how to skin and butcher an animal. You know,
Right.
like, and most of them wouldn't want to anyway. You know, they'd be like, "Nah, I'm good. I'll eat some veggies." You know, like, I can grow some stuff in my garden, you know? Like, most people probably wouldn't just go ahead and snap a rabbit's neck and eat it, you know? Like, it's just not gonna happen. And so, they just, and you know, and Maduro and his cronies are getting upset at people on TV and screaming at them to eat the rabbits. It's like, what are you getting upset at? Like, if you wanted people to eat those rabbits, you should have given them to the butchers and let the butchers distribute the meat. Like,
Do the people look like Wile E. Coyote Super Genius?
yeah, I mean, anyway,
Which, by the way, was a version of Wile E. Coyote I couldn't stand.
all right. Oh, the one that actually talked.
Yes. Hated his voice.
Wile E. Coyote, super genius. Eat. But yeah, just
But it was an episode with him and Bugs Bunny where I got my favorite Bugs Bunny quote.
oh yeah.
Like the man said, don't take anything in life too seriously.
Uh-huh.
You never get off this planet alive.
Yeah. Ooh. Hi, Hutch. I'm not talking to you because I'm busy fighting. I'm not trying to ignore you. Sorry. I can't always look at the chat when I'm playing a game like this. Depending on how the rest of the year works out, I may end up quitting Brawlhalla cold turkey around New Year's. We'll see.
Oof.
Just, you know, numbers have dropped off for it. It used to be one of my most popular streams, not so much anymore. And you know, there's other stuff coming up that I want to focus on playing. Stuff that maybe works a little better for the channel. So
That sucks.
yeah, it's just, like I said, I haven't decided 100%, and you know, I might not.
Player 2
I might still
wins.
come back to it every once in a while. It's just, you know, like I think it would probably get more views as a special once in a while type thing than an every week sort of thing. or even every other week. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, as long as I'm kept up to speed as to when you're gonna do Brawl.
Right.
I still
Anyway.
like playing it.
Right. Yeah. No. It's not that it's terrible to play. It's just like I said, interest seems to have declined sharply. Like we've been by ourselves almost the entire
3,
stream.
2, 1, ball.
There's been a few people popping in and out of the YouTube chat, but it's not been a huge number of people, and we've only had one other person join us in the ring, and that was for one match, so yeah, it's just, like I said, it depends on how things go. I'll keep kind of monitoring the situation. If interest picks back up, then I may just keep it going, but if not, then I don't want to keep playing a game that I so often don't have a lot of fun playing. I understand detaining, so I'm not blaming you or anybody else. It's just an observation that, there's not a... because when I first started playing Brawlhalla, I was getting tons of views. Like, we're talking over 100 views a week, off of these streams, and now, not so much, And I think part of it is that the novelty wore off, part of it is that I refuse to ban skilled players so that all the little weenie players could have fun, But, I already explained my reasons for doing that, and I feel like, if you really want to get good at a game like this, you need to play against high-tier players. So if they were really that concerned about winning, they should have been welcoming the chance to play against people better than them and learn how to beat them, rather than treating it as, oh, I can't win, I want you to ban them. That's I hate that whiny Smogon mentality. Yeah.
Isn't Smogon a Pokemon thing?
Smogon is a Pokemon thing, but basically what it is it's a website that creates special rules and ban lists for Pokemon games, so that people feel like they're not being unfairly beaten. Like, oh, I don't like this Pokemon, so you should ban it. This Pokemon beats me every time I play against it, but instead of putting something on my team that can deal with it, I'm just going to whine about it until you stop letting people put it on their team. That's the Smogon mentality.
Unless you can prove that the person you're playing against is literally hacking the game, if you've been beaten, you've been beaten fairly.
Right, and that's the thing is...
Period.
These people, because there's so many of these whiny little nerds that put these teams together, and they just don't think about their team composition, and then this Pokemon comes along and beats them. And yes, Pokemon creates metas. It's a thing. Like people use Pokemon that are really good. And the thing is, if everybody's using this Pokemon and you get beat every time you see it, shouldn't you be trying to put something on your team that can deal with it? And if you can't figure out what deals with it, then having somebody ban it is your solution. It's just like, just go online, go on Reddit. Hey, what's a good Pokemon that counters this? What are some options for countering this? Like figure it out. Don't just be like, oh, you should ban this Pokemon. It's unfair. It beats me every time. It's like, maybe it's you. Maybe it's the fact that you're not putting something on your team that can deal with it. It's something that it's a threat that is on a lot of the meta teams, and you're just ignoring it. Anyway.
Player 1 wins.
At least now I know what you meant by Smogon
Anyway.
mentality. I think it's more of an
Hey
entitled.
Hutch. Hey Hutch. Even if they're shiny events, that doesn't mean that the ones you got in Link Trade are not hacked, especially since the event has only released one of the two right now. Only one of the two has been released already. So if you got both of them in Link Trade, at least one of them is definitely hacked.
Oh, good grief.
He's like, oh, I got Shiny Zacian and Shiny Zamazenta in Link Trade. They're both 100% not legit. Yeah, that's right. They're both 100% not legit. You know, just because there's an event does not mean somebody's going to trade you their event shiny. They're just going to hack the event shiny in and then trade it. You know.
So there's still people hacking Pokemon.
Of course,
To this
there are still
day.
people hacking Pokemon. Like,
I figured that, you know, would have been able to iron that out somehow.
they like here's
The
the thing.
online system.
The way that the hacked Pokemon shows up in the game is not any different than the regular Pokemon. So, you know, there's not any outward way to tell, but like a player can usually tell by looking at like the stats and stuff and be like, yeah, if I had a 6IV Zacian and a 6IV Zamazenta, I wouldn't be trading them. You know?
Right.
I mean, Hutch, I don't think you really do understand. You know, you think all of your shiny Pokemon are legit, but most of them are hacked. Like probably 99.9% of Pokemon are hacked. If people get a shiny Pokemon, they usually do not want to trade it. If the reason that people trade shiny Pokemon is because they don't go through any effort to get them. If somebody's trading a shiny Pokemon, it's usually because it's hacked. I have seen some people trade a shiny Pokemon because they just don't like that Pokemon, but usually it's pretty easy to tell by the stats if the mon is hacked or not. But yeah, it's something where most of the time, unless you are 100% aware of where that shiny came from, it's probably hacked. Like you should assume that if you get a shiny in a trade, that it's hacked. Okay, again, just because it has the same original trainer's name does not mean it's not hacked, because you can hack in an event Pokemon. It's possible to hack the game and hack in a Pokemon, because sometimes if a Pokemon, like for example, sometimes the Pokemon online system will have checks in place that prevent you from trading or battling with certain Pokemon unless they have a certain original trainer. So they hack in the same original trainer to avoid those checks. So just because the original trainer is the same as the event mons does not necessarily mean that it is not a hacked Pokemon. You know, an original trainer can be changed through hacking. It doesn't have to be the person whose game it's being installed on. You can have you can change the Pokemon's original trainer using the hacking software that people use for hacking. Just because the original trainer doesn't say Machamps.com does not mean it's hacked, or it's not hacked. Excuse me. Damn.
Hopefully, whatever you pick to replace this, should you decide to drop it entirely, will be something that I can join you with.
Yeah,
Because I enjoy this largely for the social aspect.
Right, it's one of those things where, unfortunately, I've found that a lot of these action-y type games, don't necessarily work well with my channel format. I'm not able to do as many memes and whatnot, while I'm playing a game like this as I would playing something more JRPG. So, you know,
There's not a ton of RPG type games that have multiplayer
Player 2
yeah, I mean, you know,
and robust online components.
yeah, exactly. Like, you know, Pokemon being one of them, but the multiplayer for Gen 8 was actually really good. Jeez. Anyway.
Fights are fun. I like fights.
Oh, man. Alright. I think we can do one more. I need to... I can gain another
Sir
level
Roland.
with Sir Roland in the next fight, I think, so... Anyway. Hopefully detaining Suzanne goes well.
3, 2,
Exam?
1, brawl.
Yeah, he said he's doing an exam, that's why he's not playing, so...
Oh.
Or,
Let's select detainings.
either taking the exam now or working on studying for it, anyway. Ow! No! Not the bomb to the face strat! Explodia? That's not possible! No one's ever been able to escape from him! Help you. I don't know. What kind of exam are you taking? I don't know if I can help. If you're taking
You see that?
if you're taking the mid-level thugonomics exam, I can't help you. I never took that one.
Okay, maybe this is just me having had cats in my life, my entire life, or almost my entire life. But you see that blue thing that's right above me? Does it not look like a cat's schnoz and mouth?
It does look like an animal nose. I have noticed that. It looks like a little animal muzzle. You know, like the...
And the tongue just barely
nose,
sticking out.
Well, you know, the nose or the like the bottom of the mouth, and then like there's fur around it or something. You know, like anyway. But yeah.
I want to make sure it wasn't just me being a crazy cat daddy.
Yeah, no, yeah, the quote unquote Brawlhalla hammer looks like it's like a little animal face to me. Like, I don't know, maybe that's why they don't use it so much in their logos nowadays. But yeah. Damn.
Are you diving into your manga after this?
I have a light novel I'm in the middle of reading, so like I woke up like stupid early this morning, like before 7 o'clock early, and I had been reading a light novel the previous night, and hadn't finished it, so I woke up and I was like, okay, I'm not feeling tired right now, I'm gonna finish that. So I went ahead and finished it, and then I ended up going out and doing some errands, and then I got back and started reading I started reading another one, and I got tired, and so I decided to take a nap. Woke up after 7 p.m. and you know, decided to come in here and do some of the Holly Brawl, and got sidetracked working on my book that I'm writing, and then went ahead and managed to put the stream together, and now we're just kind of hanging out, doing this sort of thing, you know. But eventually I would like to get to the point where go back to reading. Yes.
Player 2 wins.
Well, I guess that's it for the night.
And level 8, yes, new stance unlocked. Alright, yep, I think that's going to be it for this one. Man, Probably the best Brawlhalla stream in a while. I'm just kidding. Anyway, best of luck on that exam, detainings. I don't know which exam you're doing, but I do hope that it goes well for you, and don't die. Anyway, thanks so much to everybody for watching. Thanks to everybody who dropped in and took part. We'll be back for something next week. And of course, as always, I do hope everybody has a great day. Bye-bye.
And everybody.
This